Welcome back everyone, this is Latino Gamer, bringing you my review of Final Fantasy X-2 by Square Enix. An old friend of mine once described Final Fantasy X-2 as the perfect game for men. You have a woman in tight shorts, one in a bikini, and one in leather. However, like I said in my review of Dead or Alive, I'd like to point out that behind the gratuitous exploitation of the game's female characters lays an intriguing and engaging combat system, one which I've heard described as the closest an RPG can get to real-time fighting while retaining the strategic characteristics of turn-based combat. After saving the world at the end of the previous game, Yuna sets off to find a new place in a world that no longer needs summoners. Unfortunately for her, she seems to suffer from Samus Aran syndrome, so all of her earth-shattering magical powers she possessed at the end of Final Fantasy X are gone. Unlike the last game, Yuna is now able to jump over gaps and climb ledges, so it seems they're playing her off as Lara Croft as well, especially considering her new wardrobe and twin pistols. She joins up with Riku and her brother on an Albed airship, the Celsius, to form a group of sphere hunters, people who travel the world attaining lost spheres. Two other Albed, Buddy, who helps navigate the airship, and the child genius Shinra, as well as newcomer Pain, complete the group known as the Gullwings. Only the three women are playable, marking the first time the main character was female since Terra of Final Fantasy VI, and the only time the series has ever had an all-female party, while the men take care of the happenings on the ship. Brother is the leader of the group and he sends the girls out on missions, forming an obvious Charlie's Angels paradigm. The sphere grid is thrown out the window and this game returns to a traditional level up system for raising the girls' attributes. The abilities each character can use are determined by which dress sphere they are wearing, which they can select from those on the garment grid they are linked to. Garment grids look like mini sphere grids. Each has a few nodes for placing dress spheres. You begin with a single garment grid containing the Gunner, Thief, and Warrior dress spheres, the three ladies' initial classes. As the game begins, the Gullwings crash a concert and fight their way through the goons of the LeBlanc Syndicate, leading up to the new recurring enemy, LeBlanc herself, the only character wearing even less than our heroines. You soon obtain the Songstress dress sphere and face LeBlanc, the fight serving as your tutorial to introduce the new combat mechanics. With only 3 characters, there's no switching out. Instead, your characters are able to change dress spheres on the fly during battle. They do this by bringing up the garment grid with the L1 button and moving to an adjacent node. Passing through certain gates on the garment grid in this manner during combat can unlock new abilities for the remainder of the battle. As your characters perform actions in battle, they are awarded with ability points, which allow them to learn new abilities for their current dress sphere. The last game's turn-based combat is also tossed aside in favor of reinvigorating the series' active time battle system. In an encounter, every combatant has their own time gauge, which they wait to fill up before they may perform an action. This means you can't waste time or else your enemies will continually attack you. On top of that, certain actions, such as magic spells, once selected, have a delay and require you to wait before they are actually performed. Furthermore, being struck during delay will only delay you more. A combo system is also in place though. If you time your attacks correctly and have 2 or 3 of your characters attack simultaneously, their attacks combine into a chain and deliver extra damage. Riku's default dress sphere, the Thief, allows her to attack twice in a row, which always begins a chain. Yuna's new Gunner dress sphere bestows the Trigger Happy ability, allowing you to attack repeatedly by tapping the R1 button, thus creating a long chain. Pain's Warrior dress sphere provides several sword attacks, many of them using the names of Tidus' equipment from the previous game. Once obtained, the Songstress dress sphere allows the user to place different status effects on the enemy party. As you progress through the game, you also obtain the Black Mage, White Mage, Samurai, and Dark Knight dress spheres among several others, as well as various garment grids to place them on. This game prides itself on its non-linearity. The main plot is divided into 5 chapters. Since Yuna and Riku already explored most of the planet 2 years ago, lots of locations are immediately available for exploration. Most locations have a subplot involving characters Yuna met in the last game, including former teammates, or provide some new insight into the people of Sphera. From the Celsius, Yuna can select which location to travel to. Certain locations will be labeled as hotspots, signaling that an event there is necessary to further the main plot. By traveling only to hotspots, you can complete the game fairly quickly, although a bit of level grinding may be necessary. Only by completing every available task though, will you be able to attain 100% completion, which of course you need if you want to watch the perfect ending. Or you could just watch it on YouTube. For the most part, this means visiting every location at least once during each of the 5 chapters of the game. The game also implements a new Game Plus system, meaning that, once completed, it allows you to play through a second time with all of your items and abilities on hand. The overall tone of the game is much more lighthearted than the previous one. Ironically, it's also more political. 3 new characters appear as the leaders of different parties. Nuge leads the new group known as the Youth League, trying to rise up the youth of Sphera. Baralai leads New Yevon, a faction attempting to restore power to the planet's overthrown church. Meanwhile, Gippo takes the reign as head of the now more accepted Al Bhed. The turning point in the story occurs when the Go-Wings obtain a particularly important sphere and must decide whether to turn it in to the Youth League or New Yevon. Only by choosing to side with the Youth League can you hope to reach 100% in a single run, but it would require thorough exploration. Of course, if you absolutely need to know how to obtain 100% completion in one run-through, you can always visit GameFAQs.com or EyesOnFF.com. Like the last game, Final Fantasy X-2 provides plenty of side quests and minigames. 3 special dress spheres exist, each of which can only be worn by one of the 3 heroines. When one of the girls changes into her special dress sphere, her 2 teammates leave the battle and she fights alone, although now in a 3-component dress. These powerful forms take place of the previous game's Aeons. Each of these also allows the user to obtain a very powerful attack, in a way taking the place of overdrives. Instead of customizable weapons and equipment, the girls are able to equip 2 accessories, which grant different abilities or boosts. There is also a 100 level dungeon, meaning you won't run out of stuff to do too quickly. My one enormous complaint about this game is that it completely ruined Blitzball. In the last game, you started off with Tidus, Waka, and the Aurochs as your Blitzball team, and you controlled them directly. In this game, you start off with the 6 members of the Go-Wings, but the gameplay is completely changed to more of an RTS command style of playing, essentially making you feel like a coach watching from the sidelines and yelling orders. I can understand them wanting to try something different, but why change so drastically what was nearly perfect already instead of simply refining it? This feels like a huge missed opportunity. Of course, I say this mostly because I enjoyed Blitzball so much in the previous game. Another minigame is called Sphere Break. It's a very mathematical game involving coins with different numbers on them. I found it surprisingly engaging, but then again, I was a mathematics major in college. The less nerdy may or may not enjoy it as much. You can even find minigames when you visit Lulu and Waka back home at Besaid Island, including the Gunner's Gauntlet, where you have Yuna running around shooting fiends with her pistols. Although the last game could be quite cheesy at times, this one takes it to another level. Don't expect the most serious story this time around. This game is somewhat similar to Final Fantasy VIII, in that it can at times feel like you're playing through a romance novel. A lot of what I said regarding Final Fantasy X still applies. Longtime RPG fans should enjoy the implementation of all the new game mechanics. There's enough to do in this game for anyone to enjoy, but it still probably isn't enough to sway those who have never enjoyed RPGs. If you just want to see more of Sphera before putting Final Fantasy X away for good and don't care about 100% completion, this game makes a good rental, since running through it quickly shouldn't take as long as the previous game. This game also makes a decent rental if all you want is closure as far as the story and ending of the previous game. If you loved Final Fantasy X and want more content to revisit over and over again, then I recommend buying this game. Thank you for listening, and happy gaming. Time for a bonus tip. Once you've chosen to side with New Yevon or the Youth League, certain scenes later in the game will become unavailable. The easiest way to obtain 100% completion is to run through the game twice and side with each group once, since this will give you access to more than 100% overall.